Welcome to Woke Mental Wellness Presents Windy City Nihilism. This is a debrief episode. While some cast members are mental health professionals, nothing in this episode or series should be construed or taken as medical advice. We speak to our lived experiences. If you have concerns, please contact someone in your care community and/or seek out an appropriate professional. No podcast can or should be used as a substitute for a relationship with a doctor, therapist, or other trained professional. Please also be aware that Talkback episodes cover a wide range of topics which may be hard for some listeners. Topics include, but are not limited to, suicide, death, depression, anti-Blackness, racism, sexism, transphobia, police, state-sanctioned murder, complicated relationships, sex and sexuality, hopelessness, financial anxiety, and strong language. Please take care of yourself as you listen, and remember, hope and resistance do best in community. Welcome to our first Talkback episode for Windy City Nihilism. In these episodes, this is where we kind of talk about what has happened in the story up to this point and discuss our own experiences and mental health and feelings about the game so far. So this is basically your like behind the scenes look and discussion. So I'm going to have our cast for this season introduce themselves. As always, Woke Mental Wellness, the way that we do our seasons is there are always at least two of us who are mental health professionals and two folks who are just your, average person with lived experience. We all have lived experience. And so that's what we're going to be talking about. And we're all Black and queer. So let's go ahead and this is the Talkback for episodes 1 through 3. So let's go ahead and have Sin introduce yourself first, who you are, who you play, where folks can find you.
Hi, my name is Sin. My pronouns are he and they, and I am the player for Romero Marcus, your currently bedraggled activist. He just wants to do community care.
All right, let's go Blue, our dual wielder this season.
Yes, the multi-classer. Hi, I'm Blue. My pronouns are they, them, and I am playing Ruin, this chaotic kind of spunky demon, and I'm also playing Alexis Smith. Alexis is not quite sure what to do about anything right now, but they're just happy that someone else can see this fucking demon that has been on their shoulder for years.
Awesome. And Emrys.
Hello, everyone. Emrys. My pronouns are they, them. I am playing Janissa Wallace, a bedraggled but cheerful school guidance counselor who is just trying to wrap her head around so many things right now. But first and foremost is the fact that she just ran into her ex, who's not her ex, but it's a mess. And I am the other of the mental health professionals in this season.
Yeah. And I'm Cassie. I am your storyteller. I am the evil in the world, as well as the good. And so I am GMing this season. And so this season, we're going back to a familiar game for a new concept because a lot has been going on in the world. And I've been having a lot of conversations with my communities about like hope and despair and nihilism and burning out from activism, movement, and organizing. And now we are in just worseness with the new regime change here in the US when we were already not doing great with genocides around the world escalating and the rise of far right around the world again. And so this season is very real, but it is also my processing my love letter, hopefully that of the cast as well, in ways to movement and organizing, and how hard it is to stay hopeful when these bunk ass systems just seem to be so enduring and folks are fighting amongst each other versus, you know, being able to really focus on fighting the systems. So that's kind of the background of this season and how we got here. So if you are just tuning in, you probably should go listen to episodes 1 through 3 for this season, because the spoilers are going to abound. We are talking about the first 3 episodes here, so please go listen to those first. But yeah, so we left off with it seems a demon of unknown origin, name, or alliance getting aggressive with the crew. So first and foremost, we recorded the first 3 episodes. How is everybody feeling about the game in general and the vibes?
I'm really enjoying this system. It's my first time playing it, and I'm having a whole lot of fun with it. It's very interesting. And I like it because I'm definitely like a role play, R-O-L-E, over role play, R-O-L-L type of person. So this is a lot of fun. And I fucking love Janessa and Romero so much. Janessa was like, demons, world ending. Okay, heard you. I still need to get to work.
Let's talk about how real this is. I am appreciating trying to add, like, in the middle of the role play, what I feel like a real world reaction would be like to a people who, by and large, in like vague cultural ways, like have some innate awareness or connection to like the spiritual world in the first place. So they're just like a demon. I mean, okay, like my grandmother used to talk about this, or like my aunt used to talk about this, or what have you. And I love how for both Janessa and Romero, it has not seemed to even moderately interrupted their stride. If anything, it's like, y'all, this is real inconvenient. I wasn't trying to do this today. I had stuff to do. So like, Romero's just like, okay, cool, end of the world, but I'm trying not to be late for this Zoom meeting. Janessa was like, okay, you know what, you write the apocalypse, but also I'm supposed to be on night shift today. I gotta go. I gotta leave.
Like, the world may be ending, but people still need help. So like, can we walk and
like,
talk?
Or like yes, the world is ending, but also I need to not see that man that I just saw down the street, because that is the greater problem here.
Child, listen. I mean, honestly, out of all the things that have gone wrong today, that's probably top of the list, right?
Not the demon.
The world may be ending, but I ain't dying with him. Like,
I know that's fucking right. I know that's fucking right.
Like, if you had told me 10 minutes ago that the world was ending, I'd probably have a greater sense of urgency. But coming off of the emotional high and panic of having just run into that particular individual, everything else feels muted in comparison.
Yeah, right? And I think that, so one thing as the storyteller for this season, I think one thing that I am very aware of is just we're playing with these really heavy, very timely themes, both timely and timeless, unfortunately, themes. And one of those themes is just what overwhelm does to you and to your sense of like prioritization and urgency, and like what trauma and overwhelm does. And it's like, yeah, cool. So y'all are gonna do this stuff. You decided to stop at the restaurant. So cool. This dude's gonna come, and then there's still this interaction that's going to start, and we'll see what you do.
I'm excited. I'm really curious what type of action like will need to be taken, I guess, with this individual. And wouldn't it be wild if like the first seal was at Janessa's job? Janessa's like moved here.
Why would you do that?
Now that I'm thinking about it.
Like, why would you say that? Why would you even say that? Because, like,
I know people say, why would you
My
speak
bad.
that into existence?
My
You know what I
bad.
mean? Why would you do that?
literally,
You know what?
like, I'm getting jumped.
It just might be a goofy time.
Like, I'm getting jumped physically after just getting jumped emotionally. Like, this is a lot. This is a lot for me. And I think it really just does speak to the fact that, like, when you're in a certain place and you're in a certain location socially, it's like, yeah, anything could be happening, right? The world is ending. Okay, like, demons are coming. Okay, I still have to pay this rent, right? I still have to feed my kids. So up until such a time as the demon is actually here and the world is actually, like, physically ending, everything else that I still have to do needs to get done. Like, I can't just stop living because the world is ending. And, like, the mental strain that places on a person to have this awareness of a greater cataclysm that's happening and still have to do the day-to-day minutia.
Yes, I can relate to that. Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's what we're going through right now, right? Of like, there's a lot, and it's also hard because it's really different how people feel. But I think when you are, because like, we're all Black, we're all queer. When you embody identities that are constantly under attack, like, the world ends so often. Like, apocalypses are daily, and so it's like, cool. Like, y'all say the sky is falling, but that sounds like Tuesday. Tell me when the mountains start crumbling. That'll be
Especially when, like, in the backdrop of where you place in the narrative, right? Hey, y'all, the world is ending in 12 days. And you're just like, what do you mean the world is ending in 12 days? Did you not see the luxury apartments, the bank, and the way they're about to bulldoze the community garden? Because, like, that's the end of a world right there. Hello?
Yeah.
Ruin is like, yes, exactly. Exactly that. Yeah, it's very interesting how I just love the way this little group has come together. It's a lot of fun.
Also, was it just me? Or did anybody, like, once you started having to play and embody your characters, found that the thing you thought you were going to do was a little bit different than what actually happened? Because it definitely was for me.
Oh, 100%. The character I went in with in my head is not the character I ended up playing at all.
That never,
At
ever.
all.
Like, in my, and you know, I told, before we started playing, I was like, I'm going to try to play a nice character. That's what I'm going to do, right? This is a nice character that I'm playing. So in my head, right, it's like, Janessa's this person who's very, very nice and kind also. And, has this kind of, like, history with these people in her life that she doesn't talk to anymore. But, if you talk to her about them, she kind of just very vague and move the conversation along. And, that's just kind of how it approaches it. Like, she doesn't really let people know she's beefing with anybody. And that's all well and good until the object of your beef appears and you literally have to have a confrontation. And then it's like, okay, who she thought she was when she wasn't talking to these people and not interacting with them is one person, but clearly who she is when one of them's literally in front of her is a different person. The person who's not able to just kind of keep it cute and observe the social niceties, as it were. So that was just really interesting to me, because I've definitely been in this exact situation before with an ex, and it didn't go the way that it went for Janessa, unfortunately for me. So I wish in retrospect that it had gone that way. And so I think that's why my spirit was like, no, we need a corrective emotional experience here, as it were.
Nice.
I love that.
Well, and I think that's one of the reasons why I have latched so much onto, like, so the podcast, it always takes me forever to do new seasons because time and money and planning and everything, but it's one of the reasons I've latched so hard onto this version of the podcast versus the original thought of what this podcast was going to be, which was going to be like educational talking heads and maybe interviews. And it's like, nah, let's do gaming, because especially in Black communities, like I just like, talking is one thing, but I want the creativity, I want the games, and it opens up the ability to, like, we introduce some really heavy topics and some really infuriating conversations, but it's fun because we're also gaming and getting to know each other. And like, I think it's worth mentioning, like, no, I don't think anybody here has played with each other besides folks having played with me.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
And I don't know that you'd be able to tell.
But Emerson is Sin. Right. I was like, y'all are so like easy to just play off of with the way you like role play and the characters that you've crafted. I found it very easy and just comfortable to like slide into that like back and forth. You know what I mean? With your characters and with you. So I think that's awesome.
I appreciate that everybody's just like here with that kind of on the same page about things and approaching stuff with intention too. So it's kind of like we want to give you things to riff off of because they're fun.
And I think it's enjoyable to have kind of like that shared consciousness of like not only, you know, identity, but also like just the understanding of where we are in terms of like, again, right, that cycle of like that movement cycle, right? The hope, and then, you know, the disillusionment and the trying to cling to hope and being real about what hope looks like when, again, you got to get up in the morning and you got to pay the bills. Like, what does it mean to be hopeful under those circumstances? Sometimes hope is just getting to work, right? Like, that's all I got today. And so I like that aspect of it as well, of just living in reality. I think at least a lot of the gaming that I've done in the last few years as like a relatively new gamer has been in like fantasy settings where folks don't really want to play in reality.
Like deal with like real life topics and such, because a lot of people feel like, you know, if I'm gonna be role playing or playing into something like fantasy or pretend, I want to be away from the things that bother me in real life. And I can understand that too, like the wanting to kind of escape for a moment and just like fucking tell a story with your friends. I can get that, but it's something also just really fun about approaching these topics and discussing them. I'm gonna pull out
this little soapbox for like 30 whole seconds, but it's wild to me that we would just be like, hey, I want to escape from the real world, and I don't want to have to deal with those issues. And then the story that you step into is a corrupt king is oppressing their citizens, and your job is to be the noble hero to start up and run,
starting a revolution and shit like that.
What are you talking about? That's actually happening. What do you mean? And they're just like, but no, I don't want to have to deal with the serious and heavy considerations that go with having to do those things. And it's just like, but y'all don't do that in the real world either. What are you talking about? So
let's be real.
I mean, I guess I mean, as always, y'all, if you haven't listened to Woke Mental Wellness before and this is your first experience, it's always hard hitting really fast, like always, especially the talkbacks. And so I do think at this point we have to talk and we have to acknowledge that, like, part of why I orient this podcast the way it is because there's a specific, like, experience to being at a table that is all people of shared identity who have also a shared politic and are not afraid to share that politic and to be like upfront and engage in generative conflict. And I have to say, for a hobby that is supposed to be built, a hobby and industry, shall we say, of TTRPGs that is supposed to be built on collaboration, storytelling, creativity, where many of the games were originally war games. It is wild to me the level of conflict avoidance and an inability to engage in generative conflict there is chronically. And it goes for whether we're talking about in-game, out-of-game, accountability, like it's wild. And so one reason this podcast is what it is because there's like we've had heavier seasons, we've had a heavier season and a bit of a lighter season, but none of them were afraid of conflict.
Yeah. I think that's just the part for me that has been a challenge at time in games is like, I don't see necessarily, at least when it comes to role-playing games, right, where the story's not set for you, you're not following a script, you're really making the story whatever you want it to be. It's like, yeah, if you want to get away from whatever happens in real life, quote unquote, that's fine, although it's very unrealistic and probably not going to happen because you're a human being playing a game with other human beings. But I look at games as the opportunity to escape from my reality by having more power over my reality than I have in real life, right? Being able to have the conversations that I want to have, being able to change the things that I want to change, being able to affect the outcomes that I want to affect. Like there's something healing in that for me, to be able to run into the Hotep elder and be like, actually, you should check yourself because like you're talking wild right now. When in reality, I'm a captive audience in someone else's vehicle. The last thing I'm going to do is get froggy with them in a way that might put my life in jeopardy or might not feel safe to have that conversation. But I can do that in the game, right? I can experience that, the emotional importance of being able to say those words in a game. And I think if you're just constantly trying to run away into games, like you're missing the opportunity to have some healing experiences that might be fantasy, but they're still good for your spirit. They still are effective. And they might just give you the courage that you need to actually have that conversation for real.
I also thought about, I think part of it is just things I have seen recently as I have roamed the socials that have informed this part. But the conversation between Ruin and Romero, I am looking forward to developing a little bit more, at least, and like here and there in passing. It's just like, hey, Romero, have you considered going to therapy? And like Romero being like, the problem isn't therapy. The problem is that they're building luxury apartments and bulldozing the community gardens. It's my manager. You know what I mean? Like it's things I'm dealing with, like this trauma isn't like, hey, I'm not processing things. It's like the real world is happening to me and no one is there to stop it. I'm fighting off the hordes of hell with a water pistol. And there's something about that I think feels good to just be able to say. Like the end of this, like this is a story about trauma, but like some of that trauma is like, these things are actually happening to people. Please do something about those. Like a person walked up to me in the middle of a Jamaican restaurant and thought it was a good idea to say, we should introduce the children to police. Like
what, girl?
Fix it, Jesus. What is this?
Please fix it.
And I know, and here's the thing. I know some people are going to be turned off by the podcast because we are very...
What about it?
We are not playing with you. We are not about it. We are not here for it. And that is fine. That is fine. Good riddance. I hope you come back when you're ready to hear it. But because one of the things that we talked about in the session, so we did 2 session zeros, one's recorded, one wasn't, and everything. I can't remember whether it was a recorded one or not, but we talked about wanting and being willing and excited to challenge these things and explore inter-community friction, inter and intra, intra-community friction, right? As well as inter-community friction. And so I and we pop up against this all the time, right? It is the like, in the system, out of the system, how do you change it? And how much do you change it? Do you tear it down and build something completely new? Do you try to reform, etc.? And so it is therapeutic for me to be able to bring in shit that I think the reason it's here is because we've all sat with it. And as someone who's been at the, you know, in these conversations, like, I'm absolutely bringing this shit in. And you're like, oh yeah, let's have a community meet and greet. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. They just shot somebody's brother like yesterday. What do you mean meet and greet?
I feel like you would feel more comfortable. I feel like you would feel more comfortable around them if you got to meet them. You want to put them in punching range, because if I show up, that's what's happening.
And like, how do you meet and greet away the training that dehumanizes community and makes police view everything in an us versus them manner and view everybody in the community as an enemy combatant in a war? You can't meet and greet that away. Like, the training has to change. The police cannot exist the way they exist. Like, we don't need protectors of property. We need community care and accountability. And that's just not the system that police have ever been a part of, especially not in the United States, where modern police come from slave patrols.
I think it's just also very insulting to the intelligence of people who are marginalized. This kind of neoliberal implication that the reason why someone would be distressed by something, whether it's on a micro level or a macro level, is because they just don't understand it. Yeah. Right? It's the same kind of logic that goes into like, oh, these meet and greets and financial literacy programs and just going to therapy and changing your thoughts. And it's like, it's this assumption that the reason why someone's upset about something or why they don't like something or why they would be, you know, otherwise in distress over something is because they just don't understand it well enough. You just haven't explained it well enough. They just aren't familiar enough with it. And it's like so disrespectful, because if anyone in any country is deeply familiar and knows law enforcement better than anyone else, it's definitely going to be the people who are the most harmed by them, right? People who know how money works in a system are definitely going to be the people who have the least of it and have to be really fucking smart about what they do have, right? People who understand the intricacies of housing and homelessness are the people who have to literally think about those realities every single day. So that there's this kind of like, this kind of paternalistic, oh, well, you just need to meet them. You just need to learn more about X, Y, and Z. You just need to spend more time doing X, Y, and Z. And it's like, how much more time do you want someone who spends all of their time thinking about a problem in order to survive it? Do you then want them to spend continuing to think about that thing more deeply?
And mind you, also mostly in the service of, let's figure out a way to like make you responsible for, hey, those are the people doing the things, but they also need, like, these people wouldn't be doing these things if you wouldn't make them so uncomfortable. So maybe if you met them, they wouldn't be uncomfortable. And just like, I don't know, I can't think of a person that I randomly walked up to. It was kind of like, they should perish because they are existing and I don't know them.
Right?
Literally.
It's one of those situations where, again, it's the like, you see how that's worse, right? And people really don't. And that bothers me. I have there's a situation going on, and it happens so frequently. Like, this is like, there's a situation going on right now. There's always been a situation like this. And I think, Emrys, you might be able to also feel the pain here of where there is a group or there's like a group or listserv for therapists, and there have been issues There'll been racial issues for years and years, and then it hits a breaking point, and it's only then that white folks are like, oh God, all the people of color are leaving. I'm gonna lose my access to them as a resource. How do we fix it? And it's like, we're talking about years, a decade of issues, and you're over here like, well, maybe we can have a Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
And that way people can be heard. And it's like, I'm sorry, bigotry is not about being heard. Like,
yeah, like you heard me just fine. You decided what I had to say was bullshit for a long time. It's not a matter of being heard. I was heard quite well. I just was not respected.
yeah. Or it wasn't seen as civil enough because there is this idea that in order to raise any issue or discuss any issue, you have to be emotionless and kiss ass, essentially, whatever the white definition of respect is at that point, or professionalism is. You have to do that in order to even have any hope that anyone will acknowledge you said anything. And it's always a moving target, and it's that, right? It's that, and it's insulting to be like, well, if you just said it the right way, if you just this, if you just that. And it's like, you'll literally, if you just people to death. We have people getting shot in their beds when they're asleep. How much more vulnerable and harmless do you want people to be than to be unconscious, laying down at home?
Yeah. It's just, it's an interesting bind, because it's almost kind of like between the people who, even setting aside, right, people who are invested in the status quo because it empowers them, then there's that friction between the people who are invested in the status quo because they're terrified of the alternative, right? Or because they're kind of afraid of acknowledging that there is no right answer, that there is no right way to do it that will keep you safe, right? Like, you know, Ola and his, let's just introduce the kids to the police, you know, that let's just teach the police how to shoot people less fatally, right? That's going to solve
Shoot people less
these
fatally.
problems,
Oh my God.
right? Because the alternative, right? The alternative is accepting that the police just kill people because they can. It's not because they don't know how to not kill people. It's because they are actively making a choice to do so. And that prospect is so terrifying to people that they want to believe that these little stopgap and band-aid and nonsensical solutions are actually worthwhile. And it's like the weird place of being in like frustration and also pity of seeing someone in that place of fear and clinging to something like that, but also knowing that like ultimately like they are someone who you really can't trust. And what do you do with that reality?
And I think finding out together is going to be fun.
Deeply
I don't
agree.
have to talk to Ola anymore.
You will.
Ugh.
Hi, you all signed up for my horror show. Welcome to the horror show.
It's awful. That's another terrible thing about organizing is when you fall out with somebody and then you see them after a long time and they want to act like y'all never fell out.
Can
like,
I
don't
just-
talk to me. Don't talk to
I
me.
feel like my champion trait is going to like get a lot of wear because see, here's the thing. I was perfectly fine to just let that moment be awkward, and then you said this man went to go and grab them into a hug on the energy of where my hug at, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I couldn't. I was like, no, let's go and redo that.
Activating my fight or flight.
Yep. And I think too, that's one thing that's like, because we're already so like there's so much hyper individualism and we're so not used to community. A lot of us still grew up in the age of, oh, don't be rude, go give auntie so and so a hug, like don't be rude, like, and not having that, not growing up with that like bodily autonomy and respect, and like, hey, nobody, you don't have to touch nobody that you don't want to touch, and they can't touch you if you don't want them to touch. Like, that was not what we were taught as kids. And so I also think that in that, and in a culture that is so allergic to consent and accountability without carcerality, that for me in kind of devising this setting and this game, and like you all sending some important NPCs that you wanted in the game, is like, okay, well, that's important too, because you're not gonna like everybody that you may need to like be in the fight with. And how does that work? And what does it mean to deeply want to be away from somebody but have to trust them to have your back on the Western Front while you're fighting on the East?
And boy, we got some work to do on that, because I know that every time we see Ola, it's gonna be like, hey, Ola, hi. Don't be weird, okay? And then just running away before he has a chance to respond.
Rancid vibes. Absolutely rancid vibes.
And I won't lie, some y'all's NPCs are going to end up being demons. They absolutely are. Just, I'm gonna tell you up front.
I'm pretty, considering the NPCs that we put in there, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. Like, I don't even know. Homeboy don't pass the vibe check. So if you told me today that he was a demon, I'd be like, oh, yeah, absolutely. That makes perfect sense. Logic. Because there's the world's ending and he pops back up. Of course he's a demon.
You know what? It's absolutely giving people being like, we're manifesting that I get the lessons and the things that I need and connections and resources, and then this person that you haven't heard from since high school pops up and you're just like, no, that's the devil right there. Why would you be here?
Yup. Yup.
I just, also, can we just acknowledge, so I don't know when this is gonna come out. I'm trying to keep it a little less pinpointy of exactly when we're recording this, but man, when I tell you that and man, I hope this is a dated reference when I say it, but I fear it will not be. This shit about empathy being a sin right now is got me all the way fucked up, because I'm like,
this, and I am not sure that I want to.
I haven't either.
Yeah, me neither.
Oh
I
God,
am concerned. I'm worried.
I can give you a like 30-second nutshell version, or I can just drop that shit and leave it alone. Give me
the little bit of synopsis. I just basically need to know enough to know, do I need to rage about this or not?
Okay, a pastor, a priest, pastor woman, who was speaking at the inauguration, asked that the president be kind and have mercy on people who are afraid right now, specifically queer folks and immigrants. And now there are sitting Congress people who are calling for her deportation and talk and rando. I don't know how prominent or who exactly some of these people are, but a unfortunately not zero group of folks who are now saying that she's basically the devil and has committed the sin of empathy.
What the fuck?
And these people call themselves Christians.
The sin of empathy?
That is ridiculous.
Hold on. Hi. So hi, on the podcast, I'm the resident Christian person, right? Okay, cool. Now that we have that part out of the way, do you mean the sin of empathy from like the book where they're just like, the reason that you do not get to make it into the kingdom of heaven is because you did not care for or take care of widows, orphans, the poor, and the sick, and you did not hear their cases and ignored their cries. The book that you wrote the book that says this in black and white print, this book is the one that you read and drew the conclusion that someone's saying, remember to be merciful to the people that you're leading. You said that was a sinful thing to do. Am I understanding that correctly?
You are.
Where is my whiskey? Yep. Oh my God, where is it? Oh no, absolutely not.
Yeah.
That's honestly the kind of like upside down thing that you would expect if a demon was taking over the world.
Right?
For it to just be like, it's opposite day and all the things that are bad are good and all the things that are good are bad. Like that's the kind of alternate reality shit that you would wake up in.
Down the witch's road is going on here?
Like, I've been watching Twilight Zone reruns.
Oh, God.
And let me just tell you, Rod Serling, wherever that man is, in whatever afterlife, is he dead? Yes, he's probably dead at this point. But whatever afterlife he's in, he was way before his time. He is, the things that he's wrote is just unbelievably. It's like he could have wrote them today. And that is just tragic. And to think about.
I think
very, very tragic to think about.
I think on that note, welcome to the Twilight Zone. We have a wonderful season ahead. Thank you for listening to first 3 and now 4 episodes. But this has been your first Talkback of the season. So if folks want to do a real quick outro, who you are, where folks can find you if you want to be found, and then let's get us all right up out of here. Blue, let's start with you.
Hi, I'm Blue. You can find me in the internet streets as KingV_, that's King with the Y. And you can find me anywhere Batty Bards is doing shit, because I be over there too, so.
Dope. Emrys.
Hey y'all, Emrys, they, them. You can find me on probably just Tumblr, maybe? It's all like Call of Duty filth though, so be forewarned. But yeah.
All right, Sin.
Hi, I'm your resident he, they, and you can find me on a couple of places. There is Cinziac.com. If you ever watch this podcast, hopefully somewhere in the description, you'll see how to spell all that. You can also find me on Blue Sky and occasionally on Twitch streaming RPGs and Metroidvanias because I like stories and having my feelings hurt on occasion. Consensually.
I gotta get you to play 1000X Resist, Sin. And I am Cassie, they, them pronouns. You can find me on Blue Sky at intersections CCH, or you know what? Let's just stick with that one for now. I don't know how long I'll be on anything else. Thank y'all for listening to our Talkback. Please remember, it's rough out here, but be in community, stay hopeful, and we'll see y'all next time. Take care. Bye. Thank you for listening to Woke Mental Wellness Presents Windy City Nihilism, a 12 Inner Demons homebrew podcast. This podcast has been made possible in part thanks to a grant from Diversity Saves. Episodes are edited by Marissa Ewing of Hemlock Creek Productions. If you enjoyed this podcast, please leave a review and tell your friends. If you want to help financially, you can visit the Woke Mental Wellness Ko-Fi listed in the show notes. Take care, and remember, hope and resistance do best in community.